Hey folks, Steve here with a little Kickstarter first impressions for you. I have got here, Viking's Tales, a new game by Rune Raccoon Games. It's for 2 to 4 players, takes about 45 minutes, and that's about right based on what I've played of it. Should be on Kickstarter right now. The reason I've said it's a first impressions is it's not a Kickstarter preview. No money has changed hands. It's not a review because, well, I've only played it a minimal amount of times. I'm not happy really to say this is a review based on the short amount I've played it. But let's get into it. What is it? Well, Viking's Tale is all about taking a clan of Vikings and going and killing legendary beasties effectively in order to get fame for your clan. You're going to fight one of 4 different kinds of monsters, which are wolves, undead, giants, and sea monsters. And the way the game works is there will be 3 or 4 stacks of these monsters by type. And each round you're going to place one of your Viking crew onto that monster to say you're going to attack and put any equipment on them which can boost them. Equipment are things like weapons and armour. Weapons, of course, give you a bonus to your strength. Armour will protect you from being attacked. Other players then can place other Vikings. And the idea is you need to have a strength greater than the strength of the monster you're trying to kill. Now, there's one thing that messes up with all this is a thing called Destiny's cards. Destiny cards are basically take that kind of abilities that get played after everyone has played all their Vikings, and what they do is they can mess with things, make your Viking stronger, make the monster weaker. Or what the interesting thing is, you can have multiple Vikings on the same monster. If no Destiny cards are played, then there's an order in which those Vikings fight. And longer weapons and ranged weapons will beat shorter weapons. But what you can do is have 2 Vikings on the same spot and have one of them armed with a dagger which backstabs the other Viking. So instead of fighting the monster, you fight each other. The beauty is you also get victory points for doing this. So it's a perfectly valid strategy, which is nice. So that part of the game is actually pretty straightforward, and I must admit, it's not something particularly different. That aspect it just feels very, very familiar. It feels like it's something you've seen in games before. Where the game does differ is the scoring. Now, of course, you get 1 fame point for killing a monster, or 1 fame point for killing another Viking, or wounding another Viking, or defeating them in battle should be the right term. However, the way you mark these on your little score pad is you've got a grid with 5 slots, 1 for each of your type of Viking, and then 4 slots going along for each of the 4 monsters. And when a Jarl defeats a sea monster, you cross off one of the relevant boxes for that. You go down across, cross that off. When you've completed either a row or column in that little box, you get extra fame dependent on the type of Viking that did the attack. So you get, I think it's 5 victory points for if you sent your lowly warrior, but only like 1 or 2 extra if you sent your Jarl. This is the bit of the game that's really clever. I said the rest of the game just feels like a lot of other games you've played. Play a card, here's some take that cards. Yeah, different. What this means is you actually get a bonus for sending your weaker person to fight something, but also means that there's a level of bluffing and predictability on your actions. So, for instance, if another player can see that I've already almost completed my Jarl row, they're going to know that I'm going to want to attack with my Jarl next round if I can, but of course they go face down, so they don't know. So that's the bluff aspect of whether they're going to backstab or play a Destiny card which is going to stop it. Or you can do something completely unknown and send a completely different Viking to go into that spot and make that attack. It adds just this extra little remix twist to the game which takes it beyond just a normal play your cards game. Also, the Destiny cards that allow you to backstab adds something really different as well, because you don't know when a Viking is placed in the same slot as you, whether they've got a longer reach weapon so they can go for the monster, or whether they are going to stab you in the back and basically get your victory points off you. What's even more interesting as well is if you attack another Viking and win, you can put that little cross for defeating that in any box on these tables. So it acts as a wild card, allowing you to basically attack anything on the board. again, really cool. Gives you this little extra incentive to do these attacks and where to do them. It's quite a light game, and I've got to admit, I'm only a few minutes into recording this review, and I'm not sure what else I can actually tell you, which is why first impressions for this kind of works best. It's a nice little light game, as my wife said when we were playing it. It's not going to blow your world apart, but I said 45 minutes to an hour. It fills that quite nicely. It's got a little bit of action in there to keep you engaged. Artwork is lovely throughout. Other than that, it's a neat little package that works quite well. And as I said, it's not going to set the world on fire, but if you're looking for something which can play up to 4 people, and we played it 2-player and it worked perfectly well, I want to play it again with 4 people, 3 people, just to see what that difference of every people different attacking has on the game, which is why, again, this is a first impression. Hopefully I'll get some of the boys to play this, and we'll talk about this in the next podcast. So, as I said, it's a nice, light, simple game. Not something that's going to take the world by storm, but something a little bit different, or a little bit of a twist on something you're familiar with, which makes it interesting. For now, tatty bye and happy gaming.